Yeah, she's pretty young when she came here, so to her this is her territory. And so she wants to make sure that there is no eagles that are going to get in here because she somehow accidentally let these four in and she can't get rid of them. So she's got to make sure that there's no more.
So therefore this will wash out there. He's from Florida. So obviously he's smaller because he's in Maryland, so smaller because he's from Florida.
That's scary.
Here, he's from Wisconsin. So you see the size difference. And then further north.
He's our younger one, so he still thinks I just like to show him things so he knows they're not scary and gonna get him.
Oh, yeah.
She is?
Yeah, we have big hairy ones on the show because we get pretty big dogs.
Oh, he's not seen me.
And so it's when they're out on the beach walking.
Yeah.
He
I've seen them flying on my way to myself down in Iowa. Here.
Want your picture taken with Natl?
No.
Oh, right. They never show me that.
The 9 pounds or 10 pounds.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, Angel and Columbia are both about 11, so. He is pretty easy though.
Who takes the picture?
Well,
And she's the one with the license plate.
yes, she is. The supporter of this one, yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it just doesn't really help.
Well, like all celebrities, they had to
airbrush. They did a little touching up and airbrushing.
You know, and so, you know, for everyone who's met her, they all know that little tuft of hair sticking up is her signature. She's got like a little dark heart around her face, and that's just color variation. And then his is probably because he's still young.
I was always thinking that you could tell the males from the females because I was looking at the tutorial with Eagle Cam, and they said, oh, the way you tell the male and female in the next part is the male's got eyeliner on. It looks like eyeliner.
You know, I've heard a few people saying that.
But they said, when I asked them to show, they said there's really no way to tell males and females apart.
A male from Florida and a male from Alaska, they might be the same size. You know, so.
Yeah, because it's further south, it's smaller.
Yeah,
further north.
yeah, because he's from Florida, which is why he's so small. So, and she's from this area. Yeah, but yeah, I've heard a few people talking about the Decora cam, and you know that's just one pair. You know, you haven't.
This is upstairs and we go outside.
Yeah, sometimes they wait for a dead one to pop up, and then it's easier to kill, or they wait for one to swim by, and they'll grab it.
And Columbia's usually back there at the border, huh?
Yep, she just got brought into feed practice, so.
Hey, Joel, what are you looking at? Hey, Joel, what's looking at?
She likes that spot. That's her spot, her river. So that's why she gets so territorial and calling out.
And what's the...
These are a band similar to what they put when we band an eagle.
Yeah.
They band that for identification for projects and stuff, but we're wearing these because you can buy an eagle band for raffle prizes. They're on sale at the desk, or somebody's walking around with some $10. You get an eagle band and your ticket, and then there's a Winona canoe kayak, mountain bike, about 25 of the prizes as well.
Cool.
So.
20 to 25 years that they lived for a while. But there are more eagles that have these bands actually. They'll put these bands out in the nest, and they'll have a number that records what year they were banded and where they were banded. And more of them that have been dead have been found in these bands that have been 7, 28, 29. 2 have come in at 32 years of age. So new guys are thinking they might not be surprised if an eagle comes in at 35. But in captivity, it can be well into their 40s. Maybe their 50s. Hopefully with Harriet, we got a really good time to look outside. There's a wild eagle flying around up there.
In the wild, of course, she's such an angel dead.
We don't want any help.
We'll try. Thank you.
me what kind of owl she is. Great-horned owl. They're named that because of these things, which of course are not horns. They also look like ear tufts. Well, they're called ear tufts. These have nothing to do with hearing. They just are an indicator of her mood. So she's very alert. They're going to stick up like this. If they're relaxed, if she's relaxed, they'll lay down like that. So your job as an audience is to keep her ear tufts laying down like this. That means she's not freaked out, stressed out, anything like that. Now the reason I have Alice is because of this wing. You know, a lot of people will say, oh, is she missing a wing? Because if you look at her, you don't see the one on that side. If I hold her up, most people think that one is missing. That's what it's supposed to look like. They're supposed to be perfectly camouflaged. This wing permanently droops because she fell out of her nest when she was 3 weeks old. And unfortunately, this happens quite a bit to great-horned owls because owls are totally clueless in the nest building department. And if you're a great-horned owl, you're going to have a really hard time finding a tree with a cavity in it big enough for mom and 2 big growing chicks. They've been known to do that. But typically it's a red-tailed hawk nest. Her parents nested in a squirrel nest at the top of a pine tree at 503 Hogan Street in Antigo, Wisconsin. So if you thought, oh, I live in the city, we don't have any owls, baloney. There are great-horned owls and screech owls that nest in probably all of the cities around here and towns. They have a very diverse diet, so they can get by on anything. As long as they've got some place to nest, they'll be there. And if you're a great-horned owl, if you're in town, you may eat things like cats. Well, if you got some skunks wandering around, rats, mice, I mean, you name it, anything running around, they'll eat it. The screech owls do the same thing, just smaller size. So just be aware, to be a responsible pet owner, don't just let them outside, especially after dark. I mean, eagles will go for those things too. It's not that they're preferring them, it's just that it's just something running around that's food in their mind. So please be careful with your pets. And it's also better for the smaller owls and the other smaller birds if you keep your cats indoors also. So anyway, Alice fell out of her nest, top of a pine tree. That was an old squirrel's nest. She landed on the ground and she severely dislocated this elbow. She wound up with a wildlife rehabilitator in Antigo, Marge Gibson, at the Raptor Education Group. And they determined really, really early on that she was not going to be releasable because she had broken the humerus, the upper arm bone, right above the elbow joint. That's when owls are imprinting. So when their eyes are focusing, what they're seeing around them and taking care of them is what they imprint on. It's what they grow up thinking they are. It's what they associate with. Normally, that's mom and dad. Alice was around humans. So as far as she's concerned, she's one of us. So as you can see, she's not scared of you guys. It's like, whatever, I'm not even going to look at it anymore. Couldn't care less. So that's great for a program bird because she couldn't care less about you guys. She's not scared. She is scared of a lot of movement. If you started doing jumping jacks here in the front row, she'd freak out. She wouldn't like that. But it's the movement. It's not you as a person. So you don't want an imprint living in the wild, because it's going to try and associate with humans, and it's going to say, oh, cool, look, people feed me, and let's come flying in. You know, and this kind of thing happens, and then people have a heart attack because they think this killer owl is going to come in and try and attack them. Keep them alive for no particular reason. So Alice and the eagles here are what we call education birds. So it's literally a job. Reports have to be filed at the end of every year, listing every program they do, how many people were there, where they were, and a contact person, because every now and then they will call and check to make sure I'm not making something up. Because if she doesn't do a minimum number of programs every year, they literally can take her away. So she really honestly has to work for a living. Now, she got a job working with me at the Houston Nature Center, doing educational programs, but there were some odd things that happened because of it. I'm a staff of one person. I don't work 7 days a week. So she couldn't live at the Nature Center by herself. So basically she wound up living with me. And I had her in an outdoor pen, which is what you normally do. And as an imprint, she wanted human attention, which is different than what I was used to for falconry birds, who are just kind of real standoffish. She's about a year old. She developed some intestinal problems. And she was losing weight, it was winter, it was cold out, and I thought, oh, I can't have you outside when you're sick, I need to bring you in. So by then I had gotten rid of my falconry bird, I moved Alice into that room in the house. She thought that was great, because then she could talk to me whenever she wanted to. And you're hearing these little chittery sounds she makes? You know, you always think of owls hooting. What I realized really fast once she was in the house, and I never did wind up kicking her back out because she loved it so much, she's still got all the owl instincts, and she thinks I'm supposed to respond as a male great horned owl. Well, guess what? Nobody wrote a book on how to be a male great horned owl. So for me, it's been learn by doing, and lots of trial and error involved. But I thought, okay, I'm going to go to the scientific literature and look up great horned owl vocalizations, see what this stuff means. Found out really fast nobody's ever studied great horned owl vocalizations, which shocked me because these guys are totally common all over North America. They're in Central America, they're even in South America, and nobody's ever studied them, their vocalizations. Seems just mind-boggling, but if you think about it, if you're going to do research, you want to get paid to do your research, and most of the research dollars go for rare species, not for common species. You know, it took them a while to get used to her being in the house and that she wasn't leaving. So anyway, there was all this stuff going on, so they set me up with some recording equipment, so I started doing vocal study on great horned owls. So actually, at this point in time, I'm the world authority on great horned owl vocalizations. Now, does that mean I know everything? Absolutely not. It just means nobody else has bothered to study it anymore. So my presentation is not the dry, scientific, boring version about great horned owl vocalizations, but it's about how I found this stuff out. And believe me, I had no idea the soap opera that was going on just outside my house. Just paying attention, you can learn a lot. You can learn things that aren't documented in the scientific literature just by paying attention. And that's literally all I did. So I wasn't getting paid to do my research, and guess what? Owls aren't awake during the day, they're awake at night. So literally, for most of my stuff, what I did was I would sleep with a recorder next to my bed, window open a crack, and when they were hooting outside, wake up, turn on the recorder, stick it out the window. That's literally what I did for the bulk of this. And it's amazing what has come up. So what I want to do is kind of take you through the story of what has happened over these past several years since my vocal study started in 2004. Possible to turn off some lights, or do we have to do? Sure, literally I've heard her hoot that many times. This is hooting posture, territorial hooting posture, tail cocked up, throat different than Alice's. Okay? That hoo hoo hoo, hoo hoo hoo, hoo. Boy, I'd never heard one that had a triplet here before. So this was interesting for me. Whining.
I think she's trying to tell you that there's a wasp up in the ceiling.
No,
she's been watching
she wants me to stand still and not wiggle around. Oh, I'm supposed to be like a tree with a branch here and not run all over the
She's
place.
been watching it.
Yeah, I don't think that's pestering her though. She just wants me to stand still. So the other thing that happened is I realized, hey, I've never heard a bird that sounded like this before. This is distinctly different from Alice, and her hoot was always like this. And within a few weeks, her voice turned really hoarse and didn't know what to do. And so I slowly walked up to him with gloves on, and I was actually able to grab him and take him out of the chicken coop. Now, I wouldn't have expected that I could do this with a healthy adult owl, and there didn't seem to be anything wrong with him other than he was just totally petrified. As I was holding him in my arms in the gloves, he was just sitting there like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. He just seemed petrified. And this is what most people think of as a standard great horned owl hoot, that 5-note hoo, 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 hoo. Okay, real standard hoot. So, that was my resident pair, Wendell and Wheezy. Okay, good. So that's Victor doing his vibrato eagle. We got Wendell down here. And then Wheezy. Okay? So we got the three of them. They're at the top of her lungs like, hey lady, get out of my territory. It's basically what she's saying. So, but she didn't hoot as much as Wheezy did. So I named her Virginia. So we had Wendell and Wheezy, Victor and Virginia. The scientific name for the great horned owl is Bubo virginianus. So that's where I came up with Virginia. So the names mean a little something. Basically what happens. So in the fall, this is everybody hooting again. Victor first.